who's to blame for the violence and the killings that have taken place in Parchment in the Mississippi prisons?
It's the wardens. It's the wardens is to blame for it because they don't train the correctional officers to the point where they know the mental state of these guys. They don't have them where they can talk them down. They don't have the ability to try to get them out of the gangs. And they don't have any leverage. So what they do, they come in there and they get to the point where they say, well, just get my check, get out of here, try to survive these 8, 12 hours and get out of here. And on the other hand, the gang members, they running everything in the prison system. See, when they get you under their thumb, then you done. You have to do what they tell you to do. When I was in there, we had gangs there at this prison here, but they were so medicated. See, they couldn't do that much. See, they couldn't run it like they wanted. They ran some of it, but they couldn't do it. Down on 5 and 6, and that's where they sent me. The inmates would come to me and they would say, Mr. Ray, can you get me something to eat, anything? I said, they give you 3 meals a day. They said, no, the gang members get my tray.
Wow.
I said, well, why they get your tray? Well, I want to smoke. I want a cigarette. So they trade their tray for a couple of cigarettes, maybe even 1 cigarette. And then when their tray come, instead of them eating, the gang member got the tray and gone. And they said, I said, well, did you report it?
Does it do any good?
Yeah, and it doesn't do any good because what the warden them say, if you dumb enough to trade your tray for a cigarette, then that's it. But see, they're addicted. You would have traded, if you had some crack in there, crack addicts would trade everything they got in order to get that crack. So the wardens, they're not qualified. They just came up through the ranks. They don't understand the dynamics in these inmates that they have down there. And like you said, the female corrections officers, they shouldn't even be in there. Most
men can't handle the men if it, becomes physical or violent. So what can a woman, how can a woman contain a man? It just doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't, and it's not.
It's not safe.
It's not safe at all. I just met one of the officers. She said, Mr. Ray. I said, yeah. I said, what? How you doing? She said, I ain't working out there anymore. I said, why not? He said, inmate attacked me, and I got paid real good. See, and that's what happened. And then I was out there. When I was out there, another female inmate was attacked, but I was right there with them. So between the two of us, we was able to get the inmate down and hold him down. See? But females do not have any business in those prisons. And the main thing is that these cunning inmates can talk these females into doing anything. They was having sex with them. They was bringing stuff in. They got this one little lady that she opened up the cell and cut the lights off. Yeah,
there aren't many jobs here. And so maybe that's the only thing where you can get a job easily and can pay the bills, because Mississippi doesn't have a lot of economic development here for jobs. So you're kind of pressed to get what you can get when you can get it. So I think that definitely plays a part into why it's more women, because you got to work.
That's the genuine truth you just stated. You got to work. You can't get a job anywhere else. You might be in McDonald's, but the correctional office job pay a little more money.
Exactly, a little bit more.
And you go there, they give you that 15, 20 hours of training or whatever you get, which is not
enough.
Nearly enough.
Exactly.
And then they throw you off in there with these wolves and these crocodiles and these big snakes and black mamas, and you in there, you innocent. They running all kind of game on you, threatening you, and scaring you, and you don't know what to do. So you just go in and try to make it through the day to get your check. But yeah, economic here in Mississippi is really so sad.
Exactly.
They don't bring any businesses here. Alabama, they bringing in big companies over there on a daily basis.
Or if we do bring companies in, we give them tax breaks to where there's no money that's coming back into the community that's continuing to build and grow the city. So
these companies come down here knowing that they got these dumb white men down here, and they run game on them. You remember that meat packing plant? That was another boondoggle. Then they had another business come down to Meridian, give us a tax break, give us a tax break.
The tire plant that we have now.
Yeah, give us a tax break. They gave them the tax break and they got all the money. Then once they did that, they left town.
Absolutely.
Left them holding the bag. And that's what they do to them. And they got another one coming down there. Hobby Lobby done came down there.
Oh, really?
And so, I mean, you got enough Hobby Lobbies in Mississippi already.
Yeah.
But Meridian, they get the end of everything. See? Getting back to Trump, where he said they created so many jobs for the African American.
Where?
And
Where
if they did, you can't take care of a dog with those jobs. You can't take care of it. They low-paying jobs. They're not jobs where you can really, thrive like the white people thrive. So, no, Mississippi is just in a shambles for as the job thing is concerned.
The average cost of a funeral is over $8,500. Are your loved ones prepared for this financial burden? If you are 85 years old or younger, Final Expense Life Insurance can ease that burden by paying up to $30,000 for funeral and burial expenses. No medical exams, rates will never increase, benefits will never decrease. Call now to lock in your lowest rate possible. Don't leave your loved ones to pay your debt. Call the KPG agency at 601-500-2751 to set up your policy today.
The black and white race rationale, why these two races behave the way they do, and the solution to the race problems in America. What is the solution, Mr. Ray?
It's the rationale. See, white people have rationale. Black people have irrationale. You can't when you get those two together, it's just like oil and water. You put them together, the oil rises to the top, the water stays down. Same way with this. When you put black people and white people together, after they talk all the phony talk, then the white person rises up and the black person stays out. Because it's the same way. You can be working at a black person can be working at a company 10 years. White person come in, after a little while, they'll get this black person to show this white person everything they know about their job. And the next thing you know, the white person is the boss in there. And the black person can't figure out what the issue is. And the issue is that you wasn't rational. They see that by the way you behave, the things that you do when you're at work, your work ethics, what you do. No, you're not supervisory material. And when they do put black people in the supervisory position, they think just because they're the boss, they can tell you to do anything. And you're supposed to jump to it. They don't have it. They don't understand.
We do tend to do that, don't we?
A lot of these black people that have talent, they don't have the rationale to really get successful from it because the rationale is not there. So I tell them that the rationale has to be put in this black mind like it is in the white mind. But the white people don't want that, see.
Absolutely.
See, a black person, once he gets something, he can go with it.
Yeah.
And see, like all of these 91 inmates come out of prison and successful, running their own businesses. Some of them email and say, Mr. Ray, check this out. A black person with no rationale, he can't see the big picture. All he can see is his little world.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep this for myself. I'm gonna do this for myself. That's why you don't have two black people in business together. And I'd ask people that all the time. I'd say, show me two black men in business together. And they would scratch their head and they would thinking. The real reason is that in order to be in business together, you gotta have rationale. You got two people with irrationale.
It's just not gonna work.
It ain't gonna work.
Now tell me about this book here.
The Niggas Holy Bible. This is the book. See, they was forced into this Christian religion. It's a dead religion. It was dead before they even got into it. The black people got into it. It was already a dead religion. And everybody said, oh, it was good enough for my mama and my granddad. Yeah, but you want to do better. You want to move out. So the Niggas Holy Bible, and a lot of people, oh, you wrote the nigga on there. I can't go with that. Say, why you put the Niggas Holy Bible? Since you came from Africa, they've gave you a lot of different names. Tar Baby, Pickaninny, Colored, Negro, all kind of different names that they gave you. And it's over 300 years. What names stick with you? The nigga. I wrote this book for the future generation too. Because now a lot of the younger generation I see on the internet, they pushed away from the Christian religion. Because all they see is one black man getting rich off a bunch of other black people, see. And that's what they see. And they don't buy into it so much anymore. You know, they listen to the rappers. And the rappers, they censor these preachers and stuff like this. And so they see that, yeah, he driving the Cadillac and the Lexus and the Jaguar, and you driving a Ford and the Chevrolet and stuff, you giving him your money. What's he giving you? He ain't giving you nothing. And that's what I'll be trying to tell them, that it's a new church in the world that the Infinite Man put in the world through Emmanuel Swedenborg. That's what everybody should be into now. But they've been indoctrinated in this Christian religion right out of slavery. A man called Dr. Charles Colcock Jones started putting his slaves in the church to get them, but he wasn't in there to save their soul. He was getting them in there so that they would be more obedient to the white race. See, and that's what they've been doing. And that's what they did all through the Reconstruction, all through the Jim Crow era. You would talk to Christian people, they say, now don't go out there and offend the white man. See, you got to be obedient to the white man. And that's what I grew up on. But I was always looking and listening, and I would look at people that was in the Christian religion, and they were just as demonic as the white people were. You know, they would go over to their neighbor's house and have sex with their wives. You know, I done seen them. And I say, this can't be right. You know, and see, this couldn't be right. And I knew it. I knew when I was a kid that the Christian religion couldn't be right. And I was searching for it, and I found it in the writings of Emmanuel Swedenborg that no, it wasn't right. It's a dead church. The new church is the one that the Infinite Man gave to Emmanuel Swedenborg to give to the people. But it could be 100 years before black people give this Christian religion up. But at least the book will be there for them to do it. See? So that's why I wrote the Niggas Holy Bible.
This last book here.
The Edgar Ray killing story. You know who Edgar Ray Killing was? He's the king of the Ku Klux Klan. He was the one that would have killed me if I had went that Sunday. But he killed James and Michael and Andrew. Larry Ellis, who wrote this book, wanted me to help him get it published. And so he asked me, would I take the book and buy the rights to it? And which I did. I didn't want to do it, but Edgar Ray Killing had Larry Ellis move down to segregation. He had that much power because the Ku Klux Klan run the prison too. And he got him to put Larry Ellis down there for a month to write this book. And this here is from the horse's mouth. If you want to know where all these black men that's come up missing, how all these lynchings happen, this is the book that you need to read, The Edgar Ray Killing, because he tells the story of how he was the negotiator of all of these lynchings down here in Mississippi. And he had so much power. He had Senator Eastland was his co-sponsor, was reason he would tell him to do stuff. Had a congressman hooked up with the Klan here in Mississippi. So, you know, we couldn't do anything.
Right.
We couldn't do anything. So this is the book that you need to read to find out where all the bodies is buried. He talked about a big tree limb that was over the highway in one of these counties where they would take black men, put them in the back of the truck, put them up there and hang them down there and then go out there and bury them in the field. And see, and that should be an investigation on that. But you don't have rational black people to do it. And the white people not gonna do it. They don't want to dig up any old graves and stuff like that.
Hi, I'm Tonya Gray with your Insurance Minute. Life insurance comes in many forms, but it helps to first understand the two major types, term life insurance and permanent life insurance. Term life insurance covers the policyholder only for a predetermined amount of time known as the policy's term. Terms typically last from 5 years up to 40 years, and insurance companies will only pay a death benefit if the policyholder dies within the limits of the term. On average, term policies are the most affordable type of life insurance on the market. Permanent life insurance stays in force for your entire life as long as your premiums are paid on time and in full. Unlike term life insurance, it builds tax-deferred cash value over time. A portion of the premium payments is designated for the cash value component. Value can build over time and at different rates, depending on the type of permanent policy you have. Contact the KPG agency to find out more and start your policy today.
You mentioned that you knew James Chaney, and I think you had met Michael Goodman, but you didn't know Schwerner. Just tell us the story, because as we know, those three men were murdered going to Philadelphia. What was your role in that, and how did you know them, and how did you avoid fate that day? I
became a taxi dispatcher. So I would have this one, I'd be sitting out right on the street. 5th Street ran right out, and that was the Black Street. And their office was above the taxi dispatcher's office. So all of them would come down and talk to me to find out where they needed to go, because a lot of these was from up north, and they didn't know anything about where to go when they got to Meridian.
Right.
And some places, James didn't know where it was. But being a taxi dispatcher.
Did you know him prior to?
I had seen him. I had seen him around.
Okay.
But he was a couple of grades ahead of me in school. So, but I had seen him, but we wasn't friends until this time, until they started coming down talking to me as a taxi dispatcher, and they would tell me where they was going, and I would kind of give them directions. And my cousin had gotten shot by this deputy that was in Mississippi burning. He had killed my cousin down there because he and my favorite Uncle Frank had came down for vacation and went out to Philadelphia to party a little bit. And he was getting with the black woman that the deputy sheriff was having sex with. And come right out there in the street and told him to get out the car. As soon as he got out the car, he shot him down like a dog. Left him laying there in the street. And so we knew that they would kill you down here.
Right.
And I kept trying to explain to Michael and James that you got to be very careful. I say, don't let them get you anywhere where you don't have people around. I say, don't do it, because they will kill you. But Michael, he was naive. He couldn't understand that they would kill him just like they would kill a black person. But see, they considered him as a nigger lover.
Absolutely.
And they would kill a nigger lover faster than they would there. Yeah. See, because that's why white people wouldn't speak out.
Exactly.
I was kind of like an undercover, because I'm sitting up here. If they knew that I was a civil rights worker, they was riding up and down through there with their guns in the window. So I couldn't just go say I'm a civil rights worker, because they shoot me.
Exactly.
I'm sitting right up in the window. And see, I don't get out, go in at 3 and get off at 11. So they come down through there one night about 10 or 11 o'clock, bam, shoot me, and when nobody even be the wiser.
Exactly.
So I was kind of like undercover. I was giving them information that they needed to know. So when they burned the church down, that kind of kicked me into another. I said, they burned it, and I had been to that church. Churches invite other churches down for anniversaries and stuff like that. I said, they burnt the church down. I said, what kind of Christian people would burn a church down?
Christian.
Christian. I said, I couldn't get my head around it. I said, I got to go see this for myself. Say, you gonna go with us tomorrow? I said, yeah. I said, I'm gonna go with you tomorrow. I said, I want to go see if they actually burn the church down. See how that look. That morning, early that morning, John Berto come by and told me, say, hey, I need you to work this morning. So-and-so has got something at the church. She can't work, but I definitely need you there. Because on Sunday morning, big business, because people be saying, hey, you need a taxi to go to church. Anyway.
Exactly.
So I said, okay. I just tell Mike and them I can't go. John Berto needed me this morning. I'm going to have to pass on it. And they had just picked...
Schwerner.
No, Goodman.
Oh, Goodman.
He had just got to town. He wanted to go. So I said, well, you got somebody. You got a third wheel there with you, so take him with you. And that's the only reason I didn't go. And so that day, later that day, I said, well, they should be coming on back by now. And then the next word we got is they had been arrested. And I was kind of tense and anxious about that. I said, arrested for what? I said, they were just going down to look at the church. I said, what they doing? But I knew that they would trump up some charges. The FBI was supposed to be watching them. That's why Michael was kind of confident that they weren't gonna do nothing to him because the FBI was watching. See, he had confidence in them, not knowing that they just as racist and prejudiced against black people as any of them were. You know, no matter where they came from.
Right.
Everybody come out, I was asking, "Do you hear anything?" They left. And nobody heard anything, so it was getting dark. So I'm really getting scared for them now.
Right.
And they said they had let them go. They finally said they had called and they had left. I took a sigh of relief. I said, okay. Don't take about an hour to come from Philadelphia. No civil rights workers. I said, oh, they done got them. I said to myself,
They let them go only to chase them down to kill them.
Chase them down.
Hi, I'm Tonya Gray with your Insurance Minute. Final expenses, including the cost of a burial or cremation, can cost a family upwards of $10,000. Many people dedicate a portion of a life insurance payout to covering these costs. Some other common uses for a life insurance payout include paying off your debts, making mortgage payments, paying funeral costs, setting up an inheritance, paying estate taxes, paying medical bills, or just maintaining a certain standard of living. When deciding whether or not to buy a life insurance policy, it is important to start by determining the purpose of the life insurance policy and the amount of desired coverage. The KPG agency can help you determine just how much life insurance is needed and the term length you should consider buying. It is also important to consider the monthly cost of the insurance. Contact the KPG agency for a free quote to start a policy today.
They caught them, they got behind them, and they already had set up. Edgar Ray Killen was down in Meridian plotting it.
Oh, was it?
Out at the Checkerboard restaurant. It was still down there today. That's one reason I won't eat out there. And he was down there telling them what to do, telling them what tactics to take, and they got them. Then they went from there out to a little mobile home park, and they got it together out there, what to do. Then here come the FBI. Here come the news. They say they was missing. You know, where was it? Then all these rumors started coming, oh, they left and went back up to Ohio. You know, the white people were saying, you know, that Martin Luther King had, all kind of rumors going around, but I knew they was dead. See, and I was telling, and so I called my mother, and told them what had happened, and my mother said, get out of there right now. I said, well, I kind of wanted to stay down. She told me, get out of there now. And I talked to my aunt, we're gonna wire you some money, get out of there as quick as possible on the next Greyhound. So I went and told my Uncle Willie what he said, get out of here. Get out of here too, because he had run in with the Ku Klux Klan back in the 30s. He had to live in the woods for a long time. And so that's when I left there. I left there on that bus knowing that they were dead and knowing there wasn't nothing I could do. And I promised, I say, I'm gonna be back here one of these days. I don't know what I'm gonna have or how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna get some justice for James and Michael, some kind of way. And Providence had it that I came into the process, because that's what they need, that's what we need down here, is the process, because they would go out and they would talk to these Negro people and they would be afraid. They say, don't come back no more, don't come back. You know, we can't do it. They was afraid. And I told them, I said, they're not gonna support you because they're too afraid.
Right.
And a lot of them are living on white men's places, sharecropping. And white men will kick them off. They won't have anywhere to go. So they were looking out for them, theirs.
Exactly.
And that's where it went down. So I was in Tennessee, and I had started registering and going to Tennessee State. And one night we were watching TV, and they said they had found the 3 civil rights workers. And they was just like I said, they was murdered.
I
really.
just could not imagine living in that state of fear and just not being able to do anything about it, Mr. Ray. I just cannot imagine.
And see, in a lot of the younger generations, the generations and the millennials,
They have no
They don't
idea.
have no
They have
idea.
no clue.
They
They're
don't have
so
a clue.
disconnected
They are.
from that time and place as if it never existed.
Yeah, and seeing the white people, they use that. They say, yeah, you're right, that happened in the past. You don't need to be a part of that. And seeing without having any rationale, they're easily fooled.
Exactly.
And that's my goal, is to get the process to the black people here in Mississippi, and then we can make this an equal opportunity state. But Tate Reeves, he ain't gonna do nothing. I seen him on that time, we're gonna close down Unit 29, and
Right.
that's because that's what the black people want.
Exactly.
See? But that's not gonna stop
It's
them
not
from
gonna
doing what
solve
they
anything.
gonna solve
Exactly.
anything. You see? And so that's why my crusade is to get the process to the people. Personal adjustment, thirdly. Life adjustment, thirdly. And then the team process. Personal life adjustment for you. Alcohol prevention for you. Personal adjustment therapy for youth. All of this is what they need in order to become rational moving individuals like white kids are. See, white kids, they have that rationale from home because their folks is rational. They teach them how to be rational. And they go on and they be successful. They don't drop out of school. They don't end up in prison. They end up in the colleges. They end up successful. Black people still down below the pit, trying to struggle just to get food on the table and stuff like that. It's a sad thing that I'm trying to fix. And if you got any people out there that want to help me get this process to the people, then tell them to come, and we'll do that, and we'll fix this whole state of Mississippi, where you got 855,000 registered voters, and won't even a third of them come out to vote. Yeah, we that's power.
Exactly.
But if you don't have rationale to use it, then it's nothing.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Ray, I want to thank you for stopping in and giving us all this information. And anytime you want to come back and talk about whatever, you feel free to come and chat it up with us.
If I could get a few black people to get a facility where we can go, I could train their kids up to be rational, and they would be able to conquer the world when they got it.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Please click the subscribe button. We'll see you next time on Tonya G's Chat Room.